They told you it's impossible. They told you you're not enough. They told you it's already too late, that the road is blocked, that the gate is closed, that the world moves too fast, that people like you, people with wounds, with doubts, with setbacks, with quiet dreams, don't make it, don't matter, don't rise. And maybe you listen, maybe you believed them for a while. Maybe you sat down with your failure and made peace with it. Maybe you convinced yourself that maybe they were right. Maybe you told yourself you didn't want it anymore, that you didn't care, that win isn't for people like you. But you do care, because deep inside you, buried beneath every scar, every fall, every tired morning, every silence in the crowd, every tear in the dark, there is something that has not died. It is not your body. It is not your money. It is not even your talent. It is your will. The human will, the one thing in this world that science still cannot measure, that no machine can replicate, that no algorithm can predict, that no enemy can fully destroy. It is your will to keep going, to keep breathing, when it hurts to stand, when your legs are shaking to believe, even when no one claps, to rise again. Psychology tells us that human beings are not creatures of talent. They are creatures of perseverance. Angela Duckworth calls it grit, not genius, not privilege. Grit, the ability to keep moving toward a long-term goal, even when the passion fades and the struggle begins. Carol Dweck calls it the growth mindset. The belief that you can change, that your brain can rewire, that your future is not written in your DNA, that effort is not weakness, that struggle is not failure, that trying again is the proof of power. Martin Seligman calls it learned optimism, that your ability to believe you can win is a skill, a trained habit, not a lie, that pessimism is not realism, that hope is a mental muscle. And when you build it, you change your future. Viktor Frankl, a man who suffered in Nazi concentration camps, said that those who survive are not always the strongest, but the ones who found meaning in their suffering. The ones who found meaning in their suffering, the ones who believe that tomorrow still matters. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, showed the world that change doesn't come by a single giant leap, but by one small step. Repeated that systems beat goals, that identity beats willpower, that if you tell yourself, I am the kind of person who never gives up, eventually that becomes true. You want evidence, you want truth. Here's the truth. People have come back from paralysis, from depression, from bankruptcy, from abuse, from trauma, from betrayal, from humiliation. And they have stood up and said, I will win. You are not weak because you feel tired. You are not broken because you feel lost. You are human, and humans are made to rise. The one who says, I will win, is not arrogant. They are honest because they know something the world forgets, that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of success, that doubt is not the end of faith. It is the beginning of resilience. That silence is not the absence of growth. It is the seed waiting for rain. You are not done. You are not too late. You are not too small. You are not too lost, because there is a fire inside you, and every second you breathe, that fire waits for your voice to say, not maybe, not someday, not hopefully, but I will win, not because I'm perfect, but because I'm persistent. Not because it's easy, but because I refuse to stop. There's no timeline for greatness, no shortcut to mastery, no elevator to the top, only the staircase of pain and hope and action. And every step you take, even the shaky one, especially the shaky ones, are proof that you are still here, still moving, still fighting. And if you keep going, you will not only win, you will become the kind of person who no longer fears losing, because that is real winning. You don't need anyone's permission. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need to know how it will all end. You need one thing, a decision, a declaration. I will win, not just in this moment, but every time I fall and rise again, every time I cry and wipe my face, every time I fail and get back up, every time I am overlooked and still keep working. I will win because I'm still here, because I'm still breathing, because I'm still willing to rise. And now I give you the 5 pillars of victory. 1, if you don't shift your identity, nothing else lasts. Not your motivation, not your habits, not your success. Everything you want in life, discipline, consistency, growth, confidence, starts with this: who you believe you are. Psychology shows that people don't act according to what they want. They act according to who they think they are. If you say, I want to be a winner, but deep down you still believe you're a loser, a failure, or just someone who tries, your actions will always pull you back to your identity. The brain is wired to stay congruent with self-image. It hates contradiction. James Clear in Atomic Habits said it best: Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So let me ask you, what identity are you voting for? Because here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. When you say, I will win, it is not a motivational phrase. It is an identity claim. It is a declaration. I'm the kind of person who wins. I'm the kind of person who doesn't give up. I am the kind of person who builds, learns, adapts, overcomes, fights, and finishes. Think about this. If someone sees themselves as a smoker trying to quit, they'll say, I'm trying to stop smoking. But someone who shifted identity says, I'm not a smoker. And that tiny changes everything. The first person is struggling against their old identity. The second one already became something new. That's why people who succeed at long-term change start with a shift in language. I'm not a lazy person trying to be productive. I'm a disciplined person who is mastering my routine. I'm not broken trying to heal. I am a strong person who is growing every day. Identity isn't just belief, it's repetition. The more you act like the version of yourself you want to become, the more real it becomes. Neurons that fire together wire together. That's neuroscience. This is why affirmations aren't useless if they are followed by action. You say it, you do it, you repeat it, and slowly your brain builds a new default setting. This is also why victims stay victims, because they keep replaying the story that they are broken. They wear it like skin. And your subconscious listens. The more you tell yourself you are helpless, unlucky, tired, late, the more you live that identity. But you can break the loop. You can flip the switch. You say, I will win. And then you say, I am the kind of person who wins, and then you prove it with tiny, unstoppable action. You act like a winner before you feel like one. And eventually, you no longer need motivation. You are the motivation. This is the first pillar identity shift, not what you do, but who you become. And once that shifts, everything else bends to match it. 2, that if you don't control your emotions will control your decisions. And if your decisions are unstable, your life will be unstable. No matter how talented, intelligent, or motivated you are. Emotional control isn't about becoming a robot. It's not about suppressing or denying how you feel. It's about mastering the art of responding instead of reacting. It's about learning how to feel deeply, but act wisely. Psychologically, there's a concept called emotional regulation, heavily studied by researchers like James Gross and referenced in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. Emotional regulation is your ability to influence which emotions you have, when you have them, and how you express them. This is not theory. This is one of the biggest predictors of success in life. In fact, Daniel Goleman's book, Emotional Intelligence, showed that emotional control is more important than IQ when it comes to leadership, achievement, and resilience. Why? Because emotions are fast. They come first. And if you don't slow them down, they will hijack your mind. It only takes 90 seconds for a strong emotion to rise and fall in the body unless you fuel it with thoughts. This is what Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor taught us. She was a brain scientist who had a stroke and watched her own brain in real time. She said, you can feel the emotion fully, but if you do nothing to feed it, it will pass in 90 seconds. But most people keep the emotional fire burning by feeding it thoughts like, I can't believe this happened. I'm a failure. Why me? It's not fair. And every time you do that, your emotional state owns you. You lose your power. You lose your focus. You lose time and clarity. And in the world of winners, clarity is gold. Now here's where the psychology becomes powerful. Cognitive behavioral theory teaches us about a thought, emotion, action loops. You think something which triggers an emotion, which triggers an action. If your thinking is chaotic, your emotions will be unstable. If your emotions are unstable, your actions will be unpredictable. And if your actions are unpredictable, your life will not be built. It will be scattered. Winning requires a stable internal world, even in the middle of external chaos. And it's not natural, it's trained. Emotional control is not a gift, it is a practice discipline. That's why athletes, soldiers, CEOs, and high performers are trained to breathe, pause, and reframe under pressure. Because psychology tells us this: your brain can't access logic and fear at the same time. When fear spikes, your prefrontal cortex, the logic center, goes offline. That's why you make dumb decisions when angry or freeze when scared. But when you pause, when you breathe, when you say, this is how I feel. But I will not obey this feeling. You activate your inner authority. You stop being a slave to the emotion. You start being a master of response. This doesn't mean the fear disappears. It means you feel it without letting it become you. This is what Viktor Frankl meant when he said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Emotional control is that space, the space where you take a breath instead of breaking something, where you keep moving instead of quitting, where you speak calm words in a storm, where you cry then still stand. Because here's the truth, the people who win are not the people who feel the least. They are the people who manage what they feel, who walk through fear and frustration with awareness, with intention, with power. Emotional control does not mean you feel nothing. It means you built the strength. Choose your behavior, even when your heart is screaming, even when your hands are shaking, even when the fire inside you burns hot, because in that moment you are no longer a prisoner of emotion. You are the driver of your mind. This is power. This is clarity. This is winning three. If identity shift is the foundation and emotional control is the steering wheel, then habit mastery is the engine of the machine that moves your life forward, because no matter how inspired you feel, how focused you are, how clear your vision is, if your daily habits are out of alignment, your future will crash. You do not become what you dream of. You become what you do over and over again. Psychology and neuroscience back this with overwhelming evidence. Charles Duhigg in The Power of Habit breaks it down clearly. Every habit follows a three-part loop. Right arrow routine. Right arrow routine, right arrow reward. Once this loop is formed, your brain automates the behavior. You don't think, you don't argue, you don't motivate yourself. You just act. It's why bad habits feel hard to break and why good habits feel hard to start, because habits are not decisions. They are neural pathways burned into the brain through repetition. But here's the good news. Anything that can be wired in can be rewired. That's neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reprogram itself through conscious repetition. That means your past habits, your failures, your laziness, your lack of discipline are not your destiny. They are patterns, and patterns can be broken. They can be redesigned. James Clear said it best. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And your systems are made of habits, tiny behaviors stacked daily that either build you or break you. This is why motivation fades. It's why you can watch 1,000 motivational videos and still not change, because motivation gives you a spike, but only habits create momentum. So what is habit mastery? Really? It's not about discipline like a drill sergeant. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m. because someone on the internet said so. It's about creating a system that makes success automatic. Let's look at the psychology-backed tools that actually work. 1. Habit stacking from B.J. Fogg's research, Tiny Habits. You anchor a new habit to an existing one. Example, after brushing my teeth, I will do 10 push-ups. This uses your current neural wiring to support a new behavior. 2, environment design. Make the good habits easier to do and the bad habits harder. Willpower is limited, but your environment shapes behavior silently. Remove the junk food. Keep your workout clothes visible. Put your phone out of reach. It's not about strength, it's about setup. 3, identity reinforcement. Every time you do the habit, you're casting a vote for who you are becoming. I just went for a 10-minute run. It isn't just fitness, it's identity. You're becoming the kind of person who moves, who shows up, who executes. 4, make it small. The brain resists big, overwhelming changes. Start small, win early, build momentum. Small wins compound. Even a 1% improvement each day leads to exponential growth over time. This is not cliche, it's mathematics. And here's what most people miss. You don't need 100 habits. You don't need a perfect routine. You just need a few key habits that you never break. These are what I call keystone habits. The ones that when you do, everything else improves, like sleeping early, moving daily, reading for 15 minutes, planning your day, writing your goals, praying, reflecting. Even something as simple as making your bed can shift your momentum, because habits aren't just about productivity. They are about ownership. They are about proving to yourself every single day that you are not at the mercy of life. You are designing your life, brick by brick, habit by habit, until your life reflects your inner power. So listen closely. You will not win because of one big breakthrough. You will win because of thousands of small, almost invisible choices that no one sees, that no one claps for, that no one posts about. But those small, private acts of discipline, they are your roots and deep roots. Build unshakable trees. Habit mastery is how you make victory inevitable. Not a possibility, not a hope, but a system of process and guarantee, because when your habits align with your identity, when your daily actions reflect your inner mission, success is no longer something you chase. It's something you walk into one small step at a time forward. If identity shift tells you who you are, if emotional control teaches you how to stay calm, if habit mastery builds the system, then pain tolerance is the armor, because no matter how strong your mindset is, no matter how disciplined your habits are, if you cannot walk through pain, if you run every time it hurts, you will quit, and quitting kills more dreams than failure ever did. Let's be clear. Pain is not a sign that something is wrong. Pain is a sign that something is real. Every goal you set, every change you want, every mountain you climb will test you, not with ease, but with resistance. And pain is a resistance you must embrace. Psychology doesn't avoid this. It confirms that Angela Duckworth called it grit. The power to persevere through pain, not because it feels good, but because the outcome is worth it. Dr. Kelly McGonigal, in her book, The Upside of Stress, flipped the entire narrative around pain and discomfort. She showed that when you believe stress and pain are harmful, they become harmful. But when you believe that pain is growth, that stress is a signal of engagement, that discomfort is evidence you're alive, your brain and body respond with strength, not weakness. You're not supposed to enjoy pain. You're supposed to respect it, because pain is the process of transformation. Ask any athlete, ask any soldier, ask any entrepreneur, ask anyone who has achieved anything great. They will all say the same thing. You don't rise unless you bleed a little. There is something called distress and eustress. Distress breaks you, eustress builds you. The difference, how you interpret the pain. When you say, this hurts, so I must stop. It's distress when you say, this hurts, so I must be growing. It's eustress, that's pain tolerance. It's the ability to feel discomfort and keep moving anyway, because here's the truth. Pain is the gatekeeper of the next level. Notice, one gets through without it. It will ask you, are you serious about this? Are you willing to struggle without applause? Are you willing to bleed in silence for a dream that might take years? And if your answer is yes, if you can stand up with a cracked back, if you can wake up on the 100th day with no results, if you can fail and still try again, then you are winning, because the world can't break someone who has made peace with pain. Pain tolerance isn't about being numb. It's about being numb. It's about being clear about why you're doing this, clear about what you're building, clear that discomfort is not defeat. It's the forge of greatness. Even neuroscience supports this. When you endure pain with intent, your brain rewires, your threshold increases, your resilience strengthens, your dopamine system adapts to the grind. Not the reward, but the process. That means you start to feel pride. Not when you win, but when you struggle and keep going. This is where most people fall. They want the prize, but they don't want the pressure. They want the results, but they avoid the resistance. But winners, they walk straight into the fire. Not because they like pain, but because they know pain builds power. And if you can sit in the hard day, the empty days, the lonely days, the days when everything in you wants to stop, you don't, then you are rare and you are rising, because this world is not ruled by the smartest or the strongest. It is ruled by those who keep going when it hurts so. Remember, pain tolerance is your power. Your pain does not disqualify you. It trains you, it purifies you, it prepares you. Say it again. I will win even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because pain is not punishment. It is the test. And I was born to pass at 5. If identity shift gives you the who, if emotional control gives you the stability, if habit mastery gives you the structure, if pain tolerance gives you the armor, then vision lock gives you the direction. Without it, everything falls apart, because without vision, you lose your why. And when you lose your why, you will lose your will. Understand this deeply. The mind follows where the vision leads, not the other way around. Psychologically, the brain is goal-oriented by default. It needs a target to align your attentions in. Energy and effort. Without that target, the brain gets pulled by emotion, by noise, by distraction, and eventually by defeat. That's why the most dangerous person in the world is someone with nothing to aim at. They wander, they drift, they chase every small desire, but accomplish nothing meaningful. And this is exactly what separates the top 1% They don't just have goals, they have vision, like a level of clarity so deep that distractions burn away in its light. They don't wonder what to do. They already decided. They wake up with aim. They go to sleep with purpose. Every step moves in one direction. That's psychological alignment, when your values, your identity, your habits, your emotions, your pain all line up behind a singular vision. And here's what makes it even more powerful. Your brain has something called the reticular activating system, RAS. It's a filter. It decides what you notice if your vision is locked. The RAS begins to filter your world. You start seeing solutions, connection, resources, patterns, not because they magically appear, but because your brain is now trained to look for them. It's like buying a red car and suddenly seeing red cars everywhere. The cars didn't multiply. Your focus changed. This is not superstition. This is neuroscience. So when your vision is blurry, your motivation dies, your habits weaken, your pain feels heavier because you don't know what you're suffering for. But when your vision is clear, you become different. The same pain becomes meaningful. The same failure becomes feedback. The same long night becomes fuel because you are locked in. You're not just trying anymore. You're going, you're building, you're becoming, no matter how long it takes. That's the key. Vision lock is not about speed. It's about direction. It's not about motivation bursts. It's about anchor, unshakable clarity. The storm will come. The setbacks will hit, the motivation will fade, but a locked vision stays solid. Immovable vision is not a wish. It's not a wish. It's not just a dream. It's a decision. And here's the decision. And here's the deep truth. When your vision is truly locked, you are already winning even before the world sees it, because victory is not something you stumble into. It's something you walk toward every day. Eyes forward, head, high spirit, focus. So what is vision lock? It's the ability to see your end even in the middle of the mess, to walk by faith, to move with strategy, to act like it's real, even when nothing has shown up yet. This is what makes you untouchable, not just the strength in your body, but the clarity in your mind. You know who you are. You know where you are. You're going and nothing can break that. Say it again. I will win because my eyes are locked on the goal, because my feet move with intention, because my soul refuses to drift. Let the world doubt, let the process delay, let the pressure increase. You are locked, and a locked soul cannot be stopped. That's the final pillar, vision lock. And with all five in place, you don't just chase victory, you become it. Now, we conclude, but this isn't the kind of conclusion that ends something. This is the kind that begins everything. Because what you've just built is not a list, not a speech, not a motivational talk. It's a psychological system of transformation rooted in science, fueled by identity, forged in discomfort, and aimed at unstoppable growth. Let's look at the journey one last time. You started by declaring a bold, unshakable statement. I will win, not live, I hope to win. Not a maybe one day I'll win, but I will. The decision was already made. Then you stepped into the five inner pillars, each one connected to the next. One building the foundation of a mind that cannot be broken. First, you rewrote who you are with identity shift. You stopped living like a memory and started living like a mission. You disconnected from old labels and stepped into the version of you that is waiting to be born. Then you mastered internal storm with emotional control. You refused to be a puppet of your moods. You learned to breathe through fear, to respond instead of react, to stay still while the world shakes. And in that stillness, you found clarity. Next came habit mastery. You took the vision out of your head and turned it into daily systems. You built rituals. You designed your environment. You made success inevitable by embedding it in your routines. You understood that winning is not one big action. It's 1,000 small ones done in the dark, done when no one is watching, done until the world has no choice but to notice. Then you put on your armor with pain tolerance. You stopped running from struggle. You welcomed it. You understood that pain is not punishment, it's a process. And now you walk through fire, not because you like suffering, but because you love what's on the other side. You don't collapse in pain anymore. You climb through it. And finally, you locked your eyes on the only thing that matters. Vision you silenced, the noise you canceled, the doubts you tuned out, the opinions. And you locked in laser focus, purpose, aligned direction, unbreakable. Because when your vision is locked, Your soul is guided, and when your soul is guided, nothing distract you, nothing can destroy you. So now let me ask you this: what can stop you now? You know who you are. You know how to manage your energy. You built the habits. You've embraced the pain. You've locked the vision. You are not guessing anymore. You are moving with strategy, with psychology, with fire. This is the mindset of the finisher, the fighter, the focused, the faithful, the one who doesn't stop at the wall. They climb it, the one who doesn't fear the night. They walk through it, the one who doesn't ask, "Oh, will it be easy?" They ask, "Is it worth it?" And when it's worth it, you pay the price in sweat, in time, in silence, in struggle. And in the end, you don't just win the gold, you win yourself, because the real victory is not the trophy. It's not the money. It's not the applause. It's that you became the kind of person who never gave up, who never broke, who never settled, who never sold their soul for comfort. And that kind of person doesn't just win once, that kind of person wins for life. Say it one more time, louder now. From the depths of your being, from the fire in your spirit, with all the conviction of a warrior stepping into destiny, I will win. Not because it's easy, not because it's guaranteed, but because I'm willing to do what it takes. Think like a victor, act with discipline, feel without being controlled, endure without breaking, and aim with relentless focus. This is not motivation. This is mental transformation. This is not hype. This is psychological alignment. So go build, fight, rise, because now you're not hoping anymore. You know you will win.